Your current career path is likely a ticking time bomb, and the worst part is, you've probably been told to keep building it exactly the way you are. We've been sold a massive collective lie. We've been told that if we just pick a niche, learn the latest software, and stack up enough certifications, we'll be safe. We believe that if we build a high enough wall of specialized knowledge, the future can't touch us. But look at the horizon. The water isn't just rising. The very ground beneath that wall is liquefying. In about 3 minutes of AI processing, the perfect skill you've spent the last 6 months mastering could become completely irrelevant. This is the skill trap. It's a frantic, high-anxiety treadmill where we're constantly chasing trendy tools, coding languages, marketing frameworks, or data prompts, praying that our technical expertise will make us indispensable. But history, science, and the cold reality of the 21st century tell a different story. The giants we admire from the past didn't survive because they were specialists. They survived because they were masters of the transfer. Take Leonardo da Vinci. We call him a painter, but that's like calling a forest just a collection of wood. Da Vinci survived the chaos of the Renaissance because he didn't see boundaries. He would spend his morning dissecting a human cadaver to understand the mechanical tension of a tendon, and by the afternoon, he'd apply that exact same logic to the wing of a flying machine or the structural integrity of a bridge. He didn't have a folder for anatomy and a folder for art. He saw them as the same language. He wasn't just skilled, he was a master of connecting the dots that no one else even saw. Think about Benjamin Franklin. He didn't just stay in his lane as a printer. He moved between the mechanical press, the physics of electricity, the philosophy of governance, and the high-stakes dance of international diplomacy. These rooms weren't separated by walls. They were connected by open doors. These weren't multi-talented geniuses born with extra neurons. They were practitioners of a specific, deliberate mental architecture. And then you have the modern innovators. Look at how Richard Feynman used the principles of physics to revolutionize storytelling and teaching. Look at how Elon Musk applied software logic to the physical manufacturing of rockets. They weren't just experts in a field, they were experts at moving between fields. They were adaptable. For the last 50 years, the deep specialist was the hero of the global economy. The advice was simple: pick a lane, go deep, and stay there for 30 years. Become the world's leading expert on one specific type of corporate tax law or one specific programming framework. But that world, it didn't just change, it exploded. We've entered a reality where AI can replicate a decade of specialized knowledge in the time it takes you to take a sip of your morning coffee. If your value is based solely on knowing things or executing a known process, you are officially on the clock. Skills that used to be a lifelong insurance policy are being automated in minutes. But here's the nuance that most people miss, and it's the most important thing you'll hear today. The problem isn't that knowledge is useless. Knowledge is the fuel, absolutely. But knowledge without adaptability is like fuel that's reached its expiration date. It won't start the engine anymore. The people who will own the next decade are not those who know the most. They are those who can move what they know across domains. This is what I call transferable intelligence. It's the capacity to take a concept from the kitchen and apply it to the boardroom, to take a lesson from biology and use it to fix a broken supply chain. So, how do you actually build this? It's not about being a jack of all trades and master of none. It's about being a master of connections. To do this, you need to install 4 specific pillars into your mental operating system. The first pillar is metalearning. This is the foundation of everything. Simply put, it's learning how learning actually works. Most people consume information like they're eating fast food. They swallow it, they get a quick hit of, "I feel smarter," and then they forget it by next Tuesday. Elite learners don't just absorb, they reflect and interrogate. Every time they encounter a new idea, they stop and ask 3 critical questions. How does this concept work at its absolute core? Where else in the world, in a completely unrelated field, could this same principle apply? And what universal pattern does this reveal about life or systems? In his research for the book Range, David Epstein found something that should terrify every narrow specialist. People who waste time wandering outside their specialty, the dabblers, the experimenters, the people who explore multiple domains, actually end up outperforming the specialists in creativity and long-term problem-solving. Why? Because they have a wider library of patterns to choose from. They aren't trying to solve every problem with a hammer. They have a whole toolbox of perspectives. The second pillar is the latticework of mental models. Facts are like leaves on a tree. They're pretty for a season, but then they die and fall off. Mental models are the trunk and the roots. The legendary investor Charlie Munger famously talked about this. He didn't just study finance. He studied physics to understand first principles, the art of breaking things down to their fundamental truths. He studied biology to understand adaptation, how systems survive through trial and error. He studied psychology to understand bias, why even smart people make stupid mistakes. When your brain collects models instead of just facts, you become incredibly flexible. You can walk into a room where you know nothing about the specific industry, but because you understand the incentive structure or the law of diminishing returns, you can spot the solution before the experts even finish their PowerPoint presentation. You aren't waiting for new information, you are recognizing old patterns in new clothes. The third pillar is adaptive problem solving. This is where the rubber meets the road. Transferable intelligence is a muscle. It only grows when it's under tension. It requires you to solve problems without a template. Richard Feynman, one of the most brilliant physicists to ever live, had a secret weapon. It wasn't his IQ, it was his obsession with re-expression. He believed that if you couldn't explain a complex idea to a freshman in college, you didn't actually understand it. You were just hiding behind jargon. This is what we call cognitive flexibility. It's the ability to switch perspectives in a heartbeat. It's the ability to take a dry, technical concept and re-express it through a story, a drawing, or an analogy. This is the exact skill that machines struggle to replicate. A computer can calculate the trajectory of a ball with 100% accuracy, but it cannot tell you why the game of baseball feels like a metaphor for the human condition. That bridge, that why, is your human edge. The fourth pillar is iterate, don't accumulate. We live in a culture of knowledge hoarding. We buy the books we never read, we bookmark the articles we never open, and we wait for a feeling of readiness that never comes. Elite learners move through cycles. Look at Elon Musk's approach to manufacturing. He doesn't rely on one domain. He transfers thinking between software, physics, and economics, constantly refining his mental models through rapid failure and adjustment. Mistakes aren't failures in this system. They are high-quality data points. Your value isn't what you know today. It's how fast your thinking can evolve. In the age of AI, the fastest learner will always win over the most learned. Let's address the elephant in the room. The fear of being replaced. Let's be honest, AI is coming for the knowledge workers. It can process 1 billion lines of data while you're still trying to find your glasses. But AI has a glass ceiling. It lacks lived experience. It lacks cross-domain intuition. It cannot understand the weight of judgment. Transferable intelligence is the bridge that lets you work with AI instead of competing against it. When you are the one connecting the dots, you become the conductor of the orchestra. The AI might be able to play the violin faster than any human, but you are the one who knows how the violin should harmonize with the rest of the world. The better you are at connecting ideas, the harder you are to replace. Period. So, where does that leave you? The future-proof skill you've been looking for isn't a tool. It's not Python. It's not prompt engineering. It's not a trend you'll find on a LinkedIn top 10 list. It is the ability to become your own polymath. It's the ability to learn deeply, transfer that insight across boundaries, and adapt continuously. Ask yourself tonight, am I just a collector of information, or am I training my mind to connect it? Start today. Don't just read another article in your field. Go find a domain that scares you, something that feels completely unrelated to your life. Explore it. Reflect on it. Then, try to teach it to someone else. Try to find one way that foreign idea changes how you think about your main area. In an age of rapid change, the ability to think across boundaries will always outlast any fleeting skill. The walls between fields are illusions we built to make ourselves feel safe, but the world is not a series of boxes. It is a web. If you want to future-proof your mind and your career, you have to stop being a specialist and start being a connector. Join us as we explore how the world's most elite learners grow, adapt, and thrive in this new age. Because the age of the specialist is over, the age of the adaptable human has just begun. Stay curious, keep connecting, and never stop adapting.